Hello everyone and welcome. I hope you enjoy the story. Get comfortable, put on your headphones if you have them, and let yourself get carried away. The story you're about to hear is strange, immersive, and at times unsettling. So listen closely, and whatever you do, don't stop before the end. Enjoy. When I first started babysitting, I thought I had struck gold. A wealthy couple offered me $200 just to watch their daughter for one night. Easy money, or so I believed. The kid was polite, the night passed without incident, and everything seemed perfect. Word spread fast in that rich neighborhood. Before I knew it, families were lining up to book me. Their pay rates made the gigs back in my hometown look like pocket change. But behind the lavish homes and polished smiles, there was something unsettling. You hear things about old money families, whispers, dark stories. I never really believed them. Until that night. A few days ago, I got a text from a couple, asking if I could watch their 7-year-old daughter overnight. I said yes without hesitation. I had no idea that would be the last time I'd feel safe. Their mansion was hidden behind a row of thick trees at the edge of town. I had never even noticed the driveway before. It twisted upward for what felt like forever until their massive estate came into view. It was breathtaking. Easily the most beautiful home I'd ever seen. I parked my beat-up Jeep and knocked on the heavy front door. A stunning woman in her 30s answered and introduced herself as Mrs. Collins. Her husband soon appeared, equally attractive, cradling their daughter, Samantha, in his arms. As nice as they looked, they both seemed exhausted, hollow eyes behind perfect faces. Before leaving, Mrs. Collins handed me a few sheets of paper. "Just some rules for the night," she said, a little too seriously. I promised to read them, wave them off in their luxury car, and stuffed the papers into my back pocket. Samantha seemed sweet enough. We played games, watched cartoons, and had fun. But when bedtime came and I asked when she usually went to sleep, she just shrugged. That's when I remembered the instructions. I unfolded the pages and skimmed through until one line caught my eye. Samantha must be in her room with the door locked by 8 p.m. It was already 7:45. I hurried her through brushing her teeth and tucked her into her massive bed. I was about to leave when she stopped me. "Don't forget to lock my door," she said softly. "Wait, what?" I asked. "Why would I lock your door?" She looked at me innocently. "Mommy always locks it. She says it keeps me and her safe. Sometimes I sleepwalk. She says I try to leave my room at night, and that's bad." Despite how strange it sounded, I nodded. "Okay, good night, Samantha." I closed the door, noticing a latch on the outside. I locked it just as instructed, then went downstairs to read the rest of the rules properly. That's when everything shifted. The papers weren't ordinary instructions about bedtime or food allergies. They were warnings, chilling ones. After 8 p.m., do not open Samantha's door. No matter what she says. She may cry, scream, beg, but do not open it. She cannot hurt you if the door stays closed. I was frozen. What the hell did that mean? Between 8:30 and 9:30, stay in the living room with the lights on. You may hear growling or scratching. This is normal. Do not investigate. At 9:30, avoid all dark areas. Turn on every light in the house beforehand if you can. If you see glowing yellow eyes in the dark, don't stare. Look away. The further I read, the worse it got. At 10 p.m., you may hear people walking in the basement. Stay upstairs. You may feel a strong urge to go down. Resist it. Drink a glass of cold milk if needed. If the urge persists, call us immediately. Before going to bed, place a raw steak and a glass of milk outside your bedroom door. You'll find the meat in the fridge. Don't eat any meat after 8 p.m. They'll see it as a challenge. They'll attack. P.S. If you hear a dog whimpering, ignore it. We don't have a dog. Right as I finished reading, I heard it. Growling. From upstairs. From behind me. From everywhere. I stayed frozen, eyes glued to the page. My heart was pounding. I turned on every light and locked myself in the living room. For the next hour, I sat there, trembling. Growling turned to scratching. Then a soft, eerie whimper echoed through the house. I kept drinking milk, trying to fight the sudden urge to go into the basement. My hands shook so badly I nearly dropped the glass. Around 10 p.m., I heard footsteps, heavy and deliberate, from beneath the floor. I didn't move. I couldn't. That's when I noticed a single sheet of paper on the coffee table that I hadn't seen before. It had been tucked under a magazine. It was a diet plan for Samantha, written by Mrs. Collins. Liver on Monday. Kidneys on Wednesday. Heart on Friday. Not beef. Not animal organs. My stomach turned. Samantha wasn't just a child. She was something else. And I wasn't here to babysit. I was here to be fed to her. Occasionally, the computer may restart on its own. If it does, do not attempt to turn it back on. Just sit still. Wait exactly 90 seconds. Then carry on like nothing happened. I frowned. What kind of job was this? Why were these rules so specific, so unnerving? Was this all just some elaborate hazing for new employees? But the tone, it didn't feel like a joke. It felt clinical, like someone wrote it with shaking hands. Then came the final line on the last page, the one that made my breath catch. If you feel a hand gently touch your shoulder while you're alone, do not turn around. Ever. I dropped the paper. My hands were trembling now. I slowly scanned the lobby. Nothing. Just silence. A silence I hadn't noticed before. Heavy. Oppressive. Like the whole hotel was holding its breath. Rules are supposed to help you. Set boundaries. Keep things in order. But these weren't about order. They were about survival. I worked that first night at the Evergreen Hotel. And now I can tell you this. Every single rule is there for a reason. A reason I pray I never have to find out. Show vacancies on the 6th floor. Do not book anyone in those rooms. The Evergreen Hotel only had 5 floors. Do not eat the cookies. They're for guests only. I remembered reading that rule and thinking, this had to be a joke. During the interview, the staff seemed so professional, so composed. Not the kind to plan some elaborate hazing ritual for new employees. But now it was clear, that's exactly what this was. A haunted hotel bit. A tired, overdone prank to scare off the newbies. I chuckled to myself, still blissfully unaware of the nightmare I'd stepped into. Amelia's muttered warning finally made sense now. If you're still here. How many new hires had they run off before me? Lucky for them, I wasn't like most people. I was ex-military. I'd seen worse. And I loved horror movies. I wasn't about to get spooked by a few creepy notes and flickering lights. Still, just in case this little initiation got out of hand, I saved the hotel owner's number into my phone, cursing my dyslexia 3 times before I finally typed it in correctly. There were more rules in the binder, but I didn't bother reading the rest. Instead, I poured myself a stale cup of coffee in the lobby and went back to the front desk. Let's see what you've got, Evergreen. The hours passed quietly. Too quietly. Until, ding. The front desk bell rang. It was a little past 3 a.m. I was in the back office, finishing another cup of coffee and playing StarCraft on my laptop. Technically, I was supposed to be going over the checkout logs, but those could wait. Ding. Another ring. Impatient this time. With a sigh, I stood up and walked to the front desk. That's when I saw him again. The man with the red suitcase. I quickly averted my gaze. My eyes focused on the countertop. The rules were clear, don't make eye contact. Yeah, it was childish hazing, but I wasn't going to lose at it. I'm competitive by nature. This was a test, I was going to ace it. From the corner of my eye, I saw that he was tall and thin, dressed in a dark suit, standing near the grandfather clock in the corner of the lobby. Probably just Amelia's friend? Or maybe that guy Dominic I met earlier. The no eye contact rule was probably to keep me from recognizing them. Clever. I almost smiled. I looked down, opened the system, and began checking him in. Room 213. I programmed the key card and slid it across the counter. When I looked back up, he was right in front of me. I froze. I hadn't heard him move. No footsteps. He was just suddenly there. My pulse spiked, but I stayed calm. Can I help you? I asked, voice steady. He didn't answer. Just stood there, his fingernails tapping against the desk. Tap, 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 tap. It was getting harder to pretend this wasn't genuinely unsettling. Tap, tap, tap. They're probably watching me from the cameras, laughing. Just a prank. My eyes flicked down to his suitcase again. Wait, it wasn't red. It was white, or had been. Now it was soaked through with something thick and metallic. Blood. So much of it, it had turned the fabric dark crimson. It dripped slowly onto the floor, pooling beneath the wheels. It's just a prank, I told myself again. I turned to the screen, selected room 213, programmed the key, and without saying another word, handed it to him. He took the card. I didn't look up again until I heard the wheels of his suitcase rolling away. And when I finally did, the floor was clean. Spotless. Where blood had pooled only seconds before, there was nothing. No stain. No puddle. Just polished hardwood. What the hell? I stood there trying to process when the elevator dinged in the hallway. Not a minute later, a loud thud shook the ceiling above me. Then another. And another. Like multiple people sprinting across the floor. The phones began to ring. Room 202. Room 207. Room 218. Caller after caller, frantic voices demanding to know what was happening on the second floor. That's when my eyes landed on the list of rules, still sitting on the counter where I'd pushed it aside earlier. Just check him into room 231 and send him on his way. Not room 213. My stomach dropped. Dyslexia had struck again. I had sent him to the wrong room. This wasn't a prank. I picked up the first ringing phone. A woman's voice, shrill and panicked. "There's someone in our room. He's standing right outside the bathroom door. Please, help." I was frozen. Call the police? No, wait. The rules said, do not use the elevator between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. And it was currently 3:30. What if he was controlling them? What if the elevators were a trap? Then I heard it. From the hallway behind me. A slow, scraping sound. Like someone dragging something heavy across the floor. Getting closer. Louder. I ducked behind the front desk, heart pounding. I could barely breathe. Please don't let it see me. The sound grew nearer, echoing through the lobby. That's when I remembered the rule about room 404, the one room no one was allowed to enter. Was it a trap? Or was it a sanctuary? I grabbed the master key set, crept out from the reception area, avoiding the elevator and that hallway altogether, and made my way up the stairs. The fourth floor felt wrong. Like I was walking into a memory that didn't belong to me. A dream someone else had woken from screaming. I stopped in front of room 404, my hand shaking as I inserted the key. A gust of cold air met me as I opened the door. The room was pitch black. I stepped inside. Then, warm breath against my face. A pair of eyes stared at me through the darkness, reflecting faint moonlight. A whisper close enough to taste. "You shouldn't have come here."